r/AskReddit by Reddit tells. Serious Christians turned atheists. What made you lose your faith? Short answer. Grew up Southern Baptist. When I started getting to the age where I could think critically about things, I just started noticing some inconsistencies. Specifically, I was told that people who believed in other religions would go to hell because they followed the wrong religion. What? When religion is based a lot on where you are born, I just could not truly believe that people would be sent to hell for being born in the wrong country. Ricky Gervais made a great point about church and religion, who BTW is an avid atheist, loosely quoted to saying, "Isn't funny how you are always born into the right religion?" One of the most annoying inconsistencies for me is how, if something good happens, thank God for doing it, but if something bad happens, thank God he stopped it from being worse. Does this man have control of everything or not? It really clicked for my girlfriend when I explained that people born into other religions think they're just as correct as you are, and you're just as wrong as you think they are. When you realize it's entirely based on upbringing, you start to realize they're all bullshit. Taking a mythology class in college and realizing all the different religions had similar origin stories of how Earth and man were created and evolved, but the details differed based on the environment the people lived in and how far along they were technologically. Anything science couldn't explain was the will of a higher power. Not saying higher powers couldn't exist, just realized people are killing each other because this is the right God. But the people don't realize that for all intents and purposes, they are all following the similar lessons/stories. I also believe religion is separate from its organization structure. I think being spiritual and believing in a higher power is okay. It has helped mankind cope with the terrifying unknown. Anybody telling you that God wants you to donate money to them so that their leader can live in a super mansion or own an airplane is a fucking liar. Last I checked, none of that money ever gets trickled up to a deity. Being told to not question my faith made me lose my faith. If I cannot question what I believe in to better understand it, then it wasn't worth believing in it in the first place. Or they are hiding something they don't want me to find out, which makes me even more skeptical of it. Also, reading beyond the selected passages in my Bible study classes. Whoa, there is a lot of messed up stuff in the Bible and you would get in trouble for reading more than just the cherry-picked parts they only wanted you to know. Contradictions galore. I was in a hard time for me, and I started praying, attending Catholic activities, and doing lots of other things like these. I wasn't feeling better. Years after I gave up doing these things and started taking care of me by myself, and now I'm happy. So the faith gradually went away. I'm not fully an atheist though. I may be an agnostic, but I'm not sure. Similar-ish here. I was raised in the church, told to pray and all that. When I was little, I would pray, but nothing came of it, so I stopped. Nothing changed. When I was a bit older, my parents and I stopped going to church because we got a priest they didn't like. The church population as a whole dropped cuss of this guy. But those were the best times, since I now had weekends all to myself, no sitting in a stuffy building, etc. So I was happier that I wasn't having to do things I didn't enjoy, but besides that, nothing changed. Once we started going back, it was harder for me to sit there because I had tasted freedom. I started looking at it more objectively and just came to the conclusion none of it makes sense. This is doing nothing good for me mentally, and I feel like I'm wasting time. So now that I've moved out and have not been to church in a long while, I feel fine. There has been no consequences to not going to church, only benefits. I'm a good person, I help where I can, etc. I don't need religion for that. But if that sends me to hell, I'm convinced then hell is the more fun place to be anyway. So whatever. For the most part, I believe that there is some higher power. Why? IDK because I want to believe in some kind of magic or something. Where did this higher power come from though? A further higher power. So what about him? Etc. The meaning of life is too much to think about, so I just tend to ignore it and enjoy my life in the here and now. Going to Catholic school did it for me. They were teaching us things that contradicted what they had taught the year before, and you couldn't really ask questions. If you did, the theology teacher would yell about that's what faith is for. Don't question the Bible. What really made me disgusted was that the teachers were adamant that suicide sends your soul straight to hell because you took the life of one of God's creatures. A schoolmate had a father who took his life, and the way they handled it was horrible and basically made mental health issues a nothing burger. 3 years after the above incident, my brother took his own life, and these arsehole teachers had the audacity to show up to the visitation to pay their respects. I had to walk away, so I wasn't rude. My mom and dad are really Christian. They are the PPL who would attend the Make America Straight conference. My dad are the worst of the family. He think he has somewhat of a childhood trauma that's made it worse. My dad thought it was okay to, for example, hit me, my siblings and my mom. I grew up in a family as the middle child of 5. 2 older sisters and 2 younger brothers. We did all of the things that Christian families do, like go to church like every day and praying, and had all sort of rules. I believed it hardcore. I was always kinda left out of the family, and that, I think, made me question a lot, and it gave me a lot of consequences. Well, life went on. When I were 11, my older sister married a massive a-hole when she got 18, and he was like 20 IDK. The dude she married was the pastor's son, so it was a honor for my mom and dad. She always said to my mom and dad that he didn't treat her well, sexual abuse and stuff, but they never did believe her and said that that's a part of the marriage. She changed a lot, got more sad, and didn't talk as much as she used to. I didn't meet her for like 2 years, and she got kids and stuff. One day we got a phone call from her man. She was dead. She had had enough and took her own life. My family didn't like it at all. Suicide and mental illness was not okay, and we didn't talk about her anymore. At this time of my life, I found this YouTuber named Mr. Atheist, and he opened my eyes a bit. The final straw was when I couldn't play in my handball team cause one of the players' mums were gay and they wanted me to stop playing. We had a fight, and some months later I didn't have any faith left. My family didn't talk to me again. I was 14. Now I live with my mom's sister, and sometimes they come to my matches, but never talk to me. This quote from Jefferson. Question with boldness even the existence of a god, because if there be one, he must approve of the homage of reason more than that of blindfolded fear. Edit. First gold. Thank you. Glad that I received it for posting a philosophical quote and not a dick joke. Edit 2. Didn't expect this to blow up, but lots of people posting their own quotes or trying to argue that God is real. Believe what you want, but you're not gonna sway me. What I find most beautiful about this quote is that it doesn't say God doesn't exist nor that he's not real. It just gives another interpretation that I was never privy to growing up. Why shouldn't I question God's existence? And if I question enough and come to terms that he doesn't exist, then the God I used to believe in should still love me the same. I do not feel obliged to believe that the same God who has endowed us with senses, reason, and intellect has intended us to forego their use. Galileo Galilei. I've always been fond of this quote from Thomas Paine. Revelation is revelation to the first person only, and hearsay to every other, and consequently they are not obliged to believe it. I stopped believing because of Santa Claus. As a kid, I wanted magic to be real. I needed it to be, and everyone told me it was. Just have faith and believe in magic, and it will be real. That's apparently all it took. Finding out Santa wasn't real was a major bummer to my child self, and it literally made me question everything else I'd been told. Especially because when it came to talk of God, as everyone told me the exact same thing. Have faith. Believe. Just let him into your heart. Yeah, you guys fed me the same lines about Santa, and look how that turned out. 8-year-old me just discovered skepticism. I ended up going to a Christian homeschool in my teens. I lived in Germany, and it was the only way for me to get an American education. I never stopped that discerning, questioning attitude. Eventually I just started to roll my eyes at a lot of the claims and the teachings, and the excuses of why things were the way they were just felt like people trying to fill in the blanks. For example, nobody could provide proof God existed, and they just point to the Bible as proof. Just look at it. It's all the proof you need. I'd counter the Bible was written by man, and they could say anything they wanted. Oh, but God guided them to write it. So, let me get this straight. God's all powerful, yet can't write his own book. Why does he need regular people? to do it for him? Couldn't he just will it into existence, like he did the 10 Commandments? And second, if God were all powerful, wouldn't the Bible be written in a language every human could understand, and didn't need to be open to interpretation? Over the years my spirituality grew less and less, all because I asked basic questions and nobody could ever give me an answer that didn't ultimately end up coming back to Santa Claus. You just have to have faith. These quotes were always pretty important to me in regards to why I'm not religious. Edit, the second less so than the first. Live a good life. If there are gods and they are just, then they will not care how devout you have been, but will welcome you, based on the virtues you have lived by. If there are gods, but unjust, then you should not want to worship them. If there are no gods, then you will be gone, but will have lived a noble life that will live on in the memories of your loved ones. Marcus Aurelius. You either have a god who sends child rapists to rape children, or you have a god who simply watches it and says, when you're done, I'm going to punish you. If I could stop a person from raping a child, I would. That's the difference between me and your god. Tracy Harris. If he exists, then God has no excuse for the state of the world. He set the world in motion, and if he knows everything, then he knew things would turn out like this, and did it anyway. Fuck that shit. If he is real, I want an apology. Thank you for watching the video. Please click the like button if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment with your own quotes, views, or opinions. Subscribe to the channel for more videos. Hit the bell notification to be notified of future uploads.